Welcome to ground control, and look at what arrived in the ground control hangar today. The Eachine Mini F16 Falcon, and this is courtesy of Banggood. I want to thank Banggood very much for sending this for review. And what do you get in the box? Well, you get the F16. Ooh, that's a nice looking little mini park jet. I like the fact that they have these white lines on the top to help orientation with the plane. You can see it's just gray on the bottom. It's got the white outline on top. I thought when I got it I was going to have to do some painting on it to get some color on it so I could see it, but I think that's going to work out fine. So it comes with the plane. The plane is fully assembled except for the landing gear. If you have a nice grassy area to land in, I envy you. I do not, so I had to put the landing gear on mine. If you have a nice grassy area to land in, then I would forego the landing gear and just belly land it. Save a little bit of weight. Alright, it comes with a spare prop. It's a 2.5-inch bullnose prop, just like on the F-22. As a matter of fact, I think the electronics are probably the same as they are on the Eachine Mini F-22. Screwdriver, a USB charger for the Lipos. They did send me the 3-battery version, so I appreciate that. You can never have too much flight time, am I right? Alright, comes with the transmitter. If you're familiar with the Eachine Mini F-22 or any of the Mini Warbirds, you're familiar with this transmitter. The transmitter has a 3-position switch. All the way forward is beginner, and then intermediate in the center, expert all the way back. When you bind up the plane, you want to make sure it is either in beginner mode or it is in intermediate mode in order for the gyro to initialize properly. This is a mode 2, so my throttle is on the left-hand stick. It's listed as a 4-channel plane. It has ailerons, it has elevator, it has throttle, and of course the 4th channel would be the gyro flight modes. It has the 1-button stunt button, so you press this button and it beeps, and it will do a stunt depending on which direction you push the stick. So if you pull it down, it'll do a loop. If you push it right, it'll roll right. If you push it left, it'll roll left. The what would normally be the throttle trim buttons are for your U-turn. It's not a return to home, it is a U-turn. The plane will make a U-turn opposite of the direction in which it was launched. So remember that. This is not a GPS receiver, and it doesn't know exactly where it was when it was launched. It just knows the direction. So that causes it to perform a U-turn. I also took out my RadioMaster TX16S, and it does bind up with this plane just fine. Awesome. So the V761 protocol works with this plane. I'm very happy about that, and I'm very happy that it has a 3-mode gyro. Now, the Mini Warbirds expert mode looks like a full manual mode. It doesn't have any input from the gyro, but this plane, like the F-22, does have gyro input in expert mode. I think it's just not as restrictive as the other 2 modes. But we will take it out and we will test it, do a couple of short flights with the stock transmitter, and then if I have time and weather, I will do a couple of short flights with the TX16S with it. In order to recalibrate the gyro, and I always recommend you do this the first time, make sure that the plane is setting flat on the surface when you plug power into it. Let the gyro initialize, and before you arm the motor, by pushing the throttle all the way up and all the way down, pull your sticks all the way down and out to calibrate the gyro. I think you should only have to do that once, unless the plane is doing something strange. If you're flying, if you've got your stick centered and it's descending or it's ascending or drifting left or drifting right, then you may want to reinitialize, recalibrate the gyro again. But I don't see any need for that unless it starts acting up on you. So the little manual that comes with it is fairly informative. It has all that information in there. all the functions of the transmitter, how to recalibrate. So let's go over some specs. Mine came with three 1S 400 milliamp hour lipos, so I got three of those. The dimensions on the 400 milliamp 1S lipo is 38 millimeters by 20 millimeters by 8.5 millimeters, and the weight was 10.8 grams. So if you have a similar size battery and a similar weight, I don't see any problem with using those. Now the 380 milliamp hour lipos that I have are actually a little bit heavier than these 400s. The 360 milliamp hour lipos that I have are slightly lighter than this. So you might want to go with the, if you're going to use different lipos, you might want to go with the lighter weight 360s rather than the heavier 380s. I assume the 380s must have a higher C rating than the 400s or the 360s to account for that weight. The wingspan on the plane is 365 millimeters or 14.4 inches. It is a tiny, tiny park jet. And let's see, the length of the fuselage is 375 millimeters and it's 14.8 inches. It does have a direct drive 1020 brushed motor, just like the F-22. My all-up weight on this with the landing gear, with the stock lipo, the 400 milliamp hour lipo, was 56.9 grams. The airframe is made out of EPP foam, so it is extremely durable, and the wing feels fairly rigid. It's got a carbon spar, 3 carbon spars on the main wing and 1 carbon spar on the horizontal stabilizer. It has, it looks like 2 servos are operating the elevator. So one thing you want to make sure of is when you first power on this plane, before you arm the motor, do your calibration, make sure it's staying on a flat surface, and then check all the surfaces, the ailerons and the elevators, and make sure they are all in a neutral position. Excuse me, in other words, they are level with the main wing and they are level, your elevators are level with the horizontal stabilizer. If they are not, then mechanically adjust those with your little trim loops here. You want to make sure that everything is in a nice neutral position before you launch it the first time, so it's not doing anything strange, like descending, ascending, or banking left or banking right. All right, so let's see, what else do we have here? It is listed as a beginner plane, and this is a flying time of 14 minutes. You have the 3 position mode switch for beginner, intermediate, and expert, the 1 key aerobatic key, and the 1 key U-turn. And what comes in the box is the plane, the transmitter, a spare prop, USB charger, and it's optional whether you get the one lipo, 2 lipo, or 3 lipo version. I always go with the maximum number of batteries unless you have a lot of them on hand, because the additional cost is very little, and typically when I put one of these planes in the air, I want to keep flying them. So I like having lots and lots of lipos on hand. So anyway, enough talk. Let's take it out to the field and throw it in the air with the stock transmitter, and if I have time, we'll also throw it in the air with the TX16S and evaluate this on its first flights. I'll see you out at the field.
Alright, the Eachine Mini F16 Falcon. I've got it in the beginner gyro mode. It is 22 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about -5 degrees Celsius. It's sunny, which is nice. Let's get her in the air. Throttle back a little bit. Nice and stable. Bring it back this way. Throttle back a little bit more. Throttle up. It's flying pretty well. Ooh, that was close. Throttle up a little bit. Gyro seems to be working really well. Oh, getting a little wing wag out of it there. Wind out here this morning is 3 to 5. Alright, so let's bring it through here and see what kind of deflection we have. Okay, so that's pretty sharp. That was, look at that. I'm not even giving it full left deflection or full right deflection. There's full right deflection. That's pretty tight for beginner mode. There's full left deflection. It seems to have a little more deflection to the left than it does to the right. Throttle it back a little bit. Yeah, that handles nice in beginner mode with the stock transmitter. Isn't that sweet? I have my alarm set for 5 minutes. So I thought we'd do the first flight in beginner mode and then do the second flight in intermediate and see what expert is like. Let's try the stunt button. Oh, did a loop. Did a roll. That was a pretty fast roll. There's a roll to the right. I hope I got that on camera. I'll bring it back through here again. Bring it back through here again and do a roll with it. There, that's pretty fast, isn't it? All right, let's slow it down. I wonder if we can come through here and do a little slow high alpha with it. Let's see. I don't want to throttle back too much. That's not too bad for slow flight for F16. What do you think? Let's see if we can bring it through here a little bit slower. We'll make our turn. Sun. Make our turn. Come in here with a little high alpha maybe. Look at that. That's pretty slick, huh? You can do some high alpha with it. Well, beginner mode, I'm pretty impressed with this little brushed power F16 Falcon. Not too twitchy either, even in a 3 to 5 mile an hour wind. Isn't that pretty cool? Oh, there's my timer. Okay, so I want to bring it in here. I want to try to do a little high alpha and set it down. Oh! That wasn't as good a high alpha as I wanted to do. Let me turn off my timer here. Okay, so the stunt button works really well, and I didn't have a lot of altitude when I did the loop, and when I did the rolls, it didn't seem to lose a lot of altitude like I have seen in the past. So I think the gyro system on this is working really well. And did you guys see that high alpha, that slow pass that I did through here? I mean, I bet it was at about a 30-degree angle, and I was able to complete that pass pretty slowly, and it had enough power to pull out of it once I wanted to pick up speed. So let's go ahead and put another battery pack in it and check out the intermediate mode and see what it'll do. Be back in a minute. Okay, so I had it in the air for, I don't know, about 4.5 minutes. I'll have to put it up on the screen and see, but I still had 4 volts in the battery, so you're going to get a decent amount of flight time out of this the way I was flying it. Okay, so I'm going to put it in intermediate mode, and we're going to see if we can launch it in intermediate mode. Yeah. Throttle back a little bit. The elevator is a lot more twitchy in intermediate mode than it was in beginner mode. Bring it down a little bit. Yeah, it's a lot more twitchy. Alright, let's see what we can do with it in intermediate mode. Ah, couldn't get it to loop there. Let's try that again. Ah, it kicks it back over. Alright, let's try that one more time. Yeah, just not quite enough power to get it to loop. I wonder if it will let me roll. Yeah, it will. It'll let me roll in intermediate mode. But not quite enough power, I don't think, to do a decent loop with it. Oh! It wouldn't let me complete that roll. It just kind of nosed down on that roll. Alright. Oh no, I broke the prop. Alright. I got the spare prop with me, so let me get the prop changed on it, and we'll put it back in the air, and I'll make sure I have a little more altitude before I try that again. Okay, I got a new prop on it. I hope I don't break this one because I only have one spare, but we'll see if we can launch it again in intermediate mode. Launching. Yeah, there we go. Throttle back a bit. Yeah, in beginner mode, see that? In beginner mode, it's nice and it's pretty smooth, but that elevator is pretty twitchy in intermediate mode. Pretty cool looking profile, isn't it, in the sun? But yeah, a little twitchy in the pitch axis. Let's bring it through here and do a speed run. Not bad speed for a little tiny plane like that. Oh, it didn't want to let me roll it there. Just kind of hung there. Alright, so do we want to try expert mode? Alright, let's gain some altitude. Okay, we are in expert mode now. Yeah, I don't like expert mode. It was getting ready to nose down on me there. Oh, man. Let me see, what mode are we in? We're in beginner mode. Let me put it back in intermediate. There we go. Whoa! Oh, I don't know what happened there. I did not initiate that. It just kind of rolled over and dove down. And that was in, oh no, I'm sorry. I had it in manual mode again. or expert mode. At least the prop is still intact. I must have accidentally hit the switch. Oh no! Look at that, I broke the airframe. Oh no! Oh no! I broke the airframe. Alright, well, I'd say a little tape will hold it in place for this flight, and I'll glue it when I get back. So I'll be back again, again in a minute. And I think with the stock transmitter, I think we'll keep it in beginner mode. We'll do another flight on it. Okay, I'm back. That's nothing a little packing tape can't cure, you know? You just got to patch them up, rub some dirt on them, and throw them back in the air. So we're taking off in beginner mode. Let's get it in the air. And I did recalibrate the gyro after that mishap, just in case, but that was my fault. I had accidentally kicked the switch into expert mode from intermediate mode, and for some reason, that was the second time it did that to me in expert mode, but for some reason it just kind of rolled over and nose down, like I was trying to initiate a roll when I wasn't. So it seems to fly perfectly fine in beginner mode, which is what I have it in here right now. And in intermediate mode, it flies well, but the elevator is a little twitchy in intermediate mode compared to beginner mode. In beginner mode, it's pretty smooth. You know, no problems. Even with the toy transmitter, you can control it really, really well. And we did a speed run with it, so you saw, you know, how fast it could fly. Whee! And the gyro is extremely stable in beginner and intermediate mode. It's just the elevator's a little twitchy for me in intermediate mode with the toy transmitter. Woo! But so far I've broken the prop and I've broken the fuselage, or cracked the fuselage. But yeah, hey, it's flying fine, isn't it? It passes my durability test, that's for sure. And looking at the amount of juice that was still in the battery, it looks like you're going to get quite a bit of flight time out of this thing. So yeah, I think it would serve well as a beginner park jet. You know, even with the toy transmitter. Now, I was going to test it out today with the hobby grade transmitter, but seeing as how I've already put it through a durability test this morning, I think what I will do is wait until video review part 2, and then we will test it out with the hobby grade transmitter. But doesn't that handle nicely? I mean, luckily we don't have a lot of wind out here today, but the gyro seems to be extremely stable. And it just, you know, auto levels fantastic. But that's a pretty cool looking little jet too. Alright, shall we see if we could do a little high alpha on it again? Let's see if we could bring it in here slowly. Well, that's a slow turn, but I wanted to make a slow pass. Let's bring it in again. But you can see, I mean, you know, this has got to be, there's got to be close to stall speed. And look at the gyro handling that. All right, now I'm going to speed up again. So yeah, so the gyro is doing an exceptional job. Look at the high alpha. See that? Isn't that cool? Bring it back in here and see if we can get it in a little closer doing that. Look at that, high alpha. That's pretty sweet. I like doing that. Let's bring it in here again. Well, I still got battery. I didn't do a very good job on that one. Let's bring it back around again. I love doing that slow approach, high alpha with it. Let's see here. Alright, let's throttle back. Check that out. Isn't that cool? Now just throttle it up and level it back out and it'll take right off. Do a speed run. There it goes. Woo! Getting close to the ground there. Okay. Let's I think I'm getting a notification from the transmitter. All right, let's see if we can bring it in. Okay. Oh, that was my alarm. Okay, so yeah, man, this is a fun little plane, and I don't care for the expert mode at all. I'll tell you that. But I do like the beginner mode and the intermediate mode, and then the beginner mode, it is super stable. Now, I will meet you back at the HQ, and I will let you know what adjustments I made on this plane before I brought it out here, because experience tells me that these need a little adjustment before you throw them in the air. So I'll see you back at the hangar, and then stay tuned for the second portion of this review, where we'll bring it out and fly it with the RadioMaster TX16S. See you back at the HQ. Okay, so we came back with some battle scars, but it's a warbird, so it should come back with some battle scars, right? So, extremely stable in beginner mode. No problems whatsoever. As I stated in the video, in intermediate mode, it is a little twitchy on the elevator. And I do not like the expert mode at all, because there's gyro input in expert mode. I wish manufacturers would quit doing that and give us a complete manual mode for expert mode. That's what I would like to have. But definitely passed my durability test. I did have to put some packing tape on it to hold it together for the final flight, so I will be getting the glue out here shortly and see if I can get this glue set up overnight so that I can put it back in the air tomorrow with the multi-protocol transmitter. That's another thing I really like about this plane, is that the receiver is supported by the multi-protocol transmitter using the V761 protocol. So I can't wait to get it in the air again with that. The expert mode, after reviewing the flight footage before posting it, I noticed that every time that I put it in expert mode, I put it in expert mode intentionally once, and inadvertently the second time that it nosed in and cracked the airframe. It wanted to pull toward the earth pretty quickly as soon as it went into expert mode, which is really unusual, because all the other planes that I have flown, these gyro planes that I've flown, when I put it in expert mode, it immediately wants to go skyward. This one wanted to go downward. So I'm just wondering if that 400 milliamp Lipo, if this thing isn't a little nose heavy. So when I take it back out tomorrow, I think I'm going to test it out with some 360 milliamp Lipos. I think they're about a gram and a half lighter than the 400s. I'll have to double check that, but I think they're at least a gram lighter than the 400s, if not a gram and a half, to lighten up the nose, because the battery compartment is pretty far out on the nose. I mean, it's right underneath the canopy, so it's pretty far forward of the wing and wherever the CG is on this plane. So I'm not certain that it isn't nose heavy. Now,
the vast majority of planes that I've received in the past, factory planes, have all been tail heavy. I can't remember having one that was nose heavy right out of the box, but this one may very well be. So I'm going to test that out with a lighter weight battery. The adjustment that I made before I took it out, just from experience with these little micro gyro planes, is I moved the control rods on the elevator from the center hole on the control horn for the elevator to the outer hole, the outermost hole on the elevator before I took it out for its maiden flight, and I'm glad I did, because in beginner mode, doing that made it nice and smooth in the pitch axis. In intermediate mode, it's still twitchy. But if I had not moved those out to the outermost hole on the control horns, I think it would have been pretty twitchy in beginner mode as well. So that's one thing that I recommend that you do before you throw it in the air the first time, is move those control rods on the elevators from the center hole, if that's where they're located when you receive it, and locate those to the outermost hole. Now, the way I did that, because I have done this in the past as well, and I have tried bending the Z-bends out on these connecting rods and these push rods, and I actually broke one of them last time. So what I did, these little plastic control horns are fairly flexible. So what I did was I just grabbed the top of the control horn and twisted it out a little bit, just far enough that I could get the control rod out of it, and then move the control rod up to the top hole and then let it spring back. And I didn't break anything. So that might be a better way of doing it. I will have to see where those elevator control linkages are attached to the servos. And what I might do also, we'll see, what I might do also is remove this foam and reposition those to the inside hole on the control arms on the servo to soften it up even more. But we'll see. I'll decide whether or not to do that after this next flight session with the hobby grade transmitter, since I'll have a lot more resolution in the pitch axis than with the toy transmitter. So anyway, we'll take it out. Stay tuned. We'll take it out. We'll fly it again with the hobby grade transmitter, and then I will give you my conclusion on this little F16 Falcon. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the air.